risky one. Shit's hit the fan and we're overrun. Sending boys in the trucks with the 50 cal. Don't send them on to heaven before we get a taste. Whoa, cry havoc. Let's slip the doors and roll. What you gonna do?
And happy Sunday to you folks. Welcome back to another edition of the Double S Podcast. As promised, we are live. We're back. And we got a show this time. I'm not half dead. I'm not beat. I'm refreshed. I feel good, feel strong. I'm going to go ahead and finally, pull the pin on this bad boy and send her downrange, see what's up. And that is, we're going to do an all sports. We're going to talk some general stuff. We got some fishing sport information we'll be talking about. We've got a lot of Colorado sports stuff. We're going to touch a little bit on baseball and basketball, but I'm going to just, full disclosure, I can barely spell those silly sports. So we'll talk a little bit about the news going on here in Colorado, but we're going to focus heavy, of course, on football and hockey. Two things very close to my heart, and also our special co-host tonight. We'll have more on him here in a second. Before we get going any further, Romans Warrior Foundation. You hear me talk about them all the time when it comes to they are the reason we're in this and doing what we're doing. Well, on top of that, Romans is also the steward, if you will, the organization in charge of maintaining, traveling, and displaying your Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance, the only mobile monument in the United States traveling that is dedicated to the entire GWAT era that we're aware of at this time. And right now, more than ever, there is a huge, huge drive going. So I encourage you, I challenge you, get over to @Romans Warrior Foundation on any of their socials. Go there. Go check it out, or go to romanswarriorfoundation.org and check out the most recent post, and you'll see it. The time is now. We are pulling a very large campaign forward to help get the GWAT wall into the next phase. The phase 2 that we have right now has run its course. There are a lot of needs that are needed, and folks, I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you. I'm going to tell you this just as a dude, not as a person that works with the Romans Warrior Foundation, but I'm going to tell you this straightforward. The Romans Warrior Foundation asks for nothing from literally almost anyone. Around every corner, all that Brian, his family, and that organization have done has been trying to reach out and help others in any way that he can, much to a higher price than what most people realize. And I'm not talking money, talking human cost that takes place. And now more than ever, they need our help. They need us to basically back this organization to help keep the GWAT wall moving forward and help get this healing into more and more small, medium-sized, big communities around this country. Now more than ever, we need this. The community building, everything that's there. So if you know of someone, if you're not in a position to help financially, you can still help in a major, major way, and you will have every last drop of gratitude that we have at the RWF, and that is simply share the post. That's all you got to do. Share the post, and you will be doing a massive big help, because you just never know who this post might reach. If we had 100 followers do this, and they had 100 followers do this, imagine the impact we could have with this. So as a call to action, as a plea to you, go check out at the Romans Warrior Foundation website. Go see that post. Get this thing moving around. Help us keep it going around. It's a super simple thing to do. Is just share the post around. Get that QR code out there. and get this thing moving around. If you want to know more about the global war on terror, just simply go over to the at GWAT wall or go to the RomansWarriorFoundation.org and you will see more about the wall there. We're in the process of a new trailer is needed because the old one is literally broken. It cannot carry the existing wall around. We have an amazing event coming up at Osage Beach at Lake of the Ozarks in September. You can come out there and see the wall for yourself firsthand if you haven't seen it before. I encourage you to do so. It's a moving experience to see your memorial there running around. All right, let's go to the rest of this here. Let's keep this rolling down. We also the Double S podcast brought to you by the Heroes Media Group, Mr. Adam Bird. Our brother from another mother. We love us some Mr. Bird. I'm going to be subbing in for him. I'm your Timu Adam on a Friday morning recap we have coming up. Basically in October, I think is when that's coming up. I'll have to double check calendar. But go check out the Heroes Media Group. There's a show every night, right? Sometimes multiple shows, same night. Something for everybody out there. Check out the great podcast, all the amazing podcast hosts. We're honored to be included amongst that group out there. And of course, our little series, the Patriot Borderland Kayak Series, our big final event of 2026 is coming up. We're going back to New Mexico where we started it all. It's going to be in October, going to be an absolute blast. I'm working with Anthony already. We're going to put together an event of events to close out the year in October. Ute Reservoir just showed out for the team tournament, man. We had some guys putting some 90-inch bags up. That's strong. I mean, that's looks like a ton of fun down there. So the lake was fishing well. Some good sized fish being caught down there as well. So it's going to be a good time. Go check us out at PBKS 2026. That's it right there. Okay, we're done. We've paid the bills. Let's talk sports. But before we do that, hold on. We're going to bring in our special guest. So this dude here, outstanding high school athlete, grew up his entire life with a dad that coached sports and took it to an unhealthy level of addiction. He's been around. He's seen the ins and outs from athlete to coaching. He's been around the conversations of multiple coaches going on at one time. So he's seen this kind of stuff. Then he decided, hold my beer, Dad, I'm going to take this one step further, and went off and played some collegiate hockey. So now he has that experience as well. And he just happens to be a sport nut with an affinity for digging into the topics here. And many times blows me out of the water with his knowledge and some of the things he picks up and his take on this stuff. We got him here tonight. Let's bring him into the show right now. Mr. Ryan, and that's right, with the last name of Campbell.
Thank you.
What's happening, dog?
What's going on?
So I said I was going to set you up with a bunch of accolades, like
Yep.
At one time he painted a water bottle for John Elway and wore Von Miller's glasses to a Halloween dance. No.
Probably did that.
Yeah, you probably did. Did we even know you needed glasses back then?
Yeah, we found out after you couldn't see a bunny in the field, I think, is what the final conclusion was on that one. But
oh, that's a story for a different episode, Ryan. We'll cover that later. Hey, man, appreciate you joining us here. We're gonna talk some stuff around here. You've been around fishing the same as me. Dude, you and I did the very first tournament ever that I ever fished. You and I did it together out of that Bayliner, right? When you were just a young man. We go out, we camp in a car, we take our Bayliner boat across the state, 2 hours or so to a deal. Do you remember sitting in that parking lot and we're in this little Bayliner 15-footer, right? It's just a bow rider that I have built, plywood on the front for a motor mount. We've got we've got a live well that's non-existent, basically. It's a big water tank that's sitting in the back of the boat. Do you remember looking out and around at all those bass boats that were in the field?
all the bass trackers and Tritons and everything else. Yeah. We were both sitting there with our little barely put together rig, and those guys had $60,000, $70,000 bass boats.
At that, you were pretty young. Were you intimidated by looking at that at all, or did it not matter to you at that time?
It didn't matter to me at that time. If I saw that now, I probably would be more intimidated than I was then, for sure. I didn't know how much those bass boats were worth anyway. I kind of was like, oh, it's just a different style of boat than what we have. All right, cool. Like, yeah. Oh well. And yet, knowing it now, I probably would have been like, "Oh gosh."
I had total bass boat intimidation going on. I'm like, I was so caught up in I thought I needed that gear, and after we go out and do what we do in our little boat there, I realized after that no, you just got to make better decisions, dumbass. It has nothing to do with your gear, because better decisions made that day. Different episode where we can talk about that. But bottom line is, we were top 5 at the end of that day.
Yep.
Out of that field. But yeah, man, that was the very first deal. So you've been around fishing. The MLF. All right, for those of you who are not fishing nerds, let's talk about this. Long ago, the only competition to bass was a company called FLW, Fishing League Worldwide. Fishing League Worldwide was purchased by Major League Fishing. I fished in the FLW back in those days. The statement used to be, if you want to make a name for yourself, fish the bass circuit. If you want to make money, fish the FLW. So I didn't give 3 squirts of monkey poop about a name for myself. I wanted to see if I could make a living doing this. So I went FLW route. Well, then MLF buys it up. The very first on-ramp, like the entryway into competitive fishing in a bass boat, was the BFLs, Bass Fishing League, right? It is now picked up and presented by, we got Mr. Willis from the Homefront Sit Rep. What's up, Willis? Appreciate you tuning in, dog. Fellow podcast host there. One of the bigger shows we have on this network, the Homefront Sit Rep. Appreciate you tuning in, man. So the BFLs was basically, it's pay to play, and it was angler, co-angler, right? That was the way it worked. Right. You got in and you got a draw. You drew a co-angler. Co-anglers, if you got in, you didn't know who your boater was going to be. They just randomly paired it up. I don't know, but with some magic 8-ball or some stuff, and that's how they've figured it out. Well, there's been some major changes. Here's the irony, and I'm included in this. One of the issues we've had with the MLF over the course of the season, or over the course of its time here, is every year there's like a change that happens, right? Nothing stays the same. It's just they keep changing shit up at some format one way or another.
Right.
But this one, rarely have they ever done something at the lower entry levels. They always keep changing it at the elites, the Bass Pro Tour, Red Crest, that stuff. Now they're changing something up majorly on the Bass Fishing League side. There's always been, we're not going to get into this, but there's always been issues when it comes to the angler, co-angler. You're not fishing against each other, but the term getting backboated has always reigned true, is that the angler, the pro, is fishing against other anglers and pros. The co-anglers are only fishing against co-anglers. But when there's more investment of boat, gas, entry fee, everything from the angler, they put the boat, they position themselves so that they get first strike at the juice. You as a co-angler on the back got to deal with that. And you got to try to...
Part of being a co-angler.
Right? And I hated that. It drove me up a freaking wall.
Yeah.
And so I refused to fish that way when I was fishing the BFLs. I did the same as you and I did when we would go out. I would sideswipe that thing. I'd go parallel to the attack and just tell dude, no, pitch in there right next to me. Let's go to work. I'm proud to say that in my last 2 years there, I had co-anglers in the money a lot. I'm not proud to say that we were fishing the same thing and they were out fishing me. I was in a slump in a major way. That sucked. But I knew I was getting us around fish, right? I mean, that was for sure happening there. But there's a big change that has come down. Anglers complain. The cost of things keeps going up. MLF just threw together basically what the whole entire format tweak that they're doing now. This whole deal that they're going to set up now is going to be set up so that you can go in and fish this as a team or fish it solo. No more co-anglers. The boater co-angler deal, gone. It's not in there anymore. Think, if you will, I mean, if you really look at this, yeah, we're talking about the Bass Fishing League presented by Phoenix Bass Boat. It's the grassroots entry-level circuit under the Major League Fishing umbrella, right? Low buy-in, local lakes, close to home. It's the on-ramp to a pro bass fishing career it has been for 46 years. Now, this thing runs through what used to be the FLW. Now, that was before MLF bought them, like I said before. But what you do is you win your way up through the BFLs, and you can climb your way into the Toyota Series, then on to Redcrest, if you do well at the Toyota Series, and eventually the BPT, Bass Pro Tour, which is basically the big leagues. So think about this is that this is basically single A ball feeding the majors, right? I mean, that's basically what it is.
Right.
This 2027 change, this is, I want to get to that one. This is the biggest deal that they set up here. Which, give me a second here. My page jumped on me here. What used to be the BFLs all competed for like different regions, all competed for one big event called the All-American. That one All-American now becomes 5 regional ones. This brings title shots physically closer to more anglers. They get an opportunity to actually seize up, some of the bigger stuff out here. First place guarantees on some of these things. The payouts are being completely redone. Roughly, if you add in bonuses for the Phoenix Bass Boat bonus, 91% of all entry fees are going back to the anglers coming out of the BFLs. So, I mean, this is not just a format change. It's an economic switch that they're doing with this thing. If you win a regional team, basically, you go straight on to Redcrest, which is a $300,000 pool of money. And you get to move on to the Toyota Series Championship as well as an option. I mean, there's massive change in this. So now you can either go in with a buddy, split costs, split gas, split everything, go chase this, and equally both of you will have an opportunity to advance later if you win the big leagues. Right. Or you can fish it singly.
That's huge.
Now, it's not changing the cost of a $120,000 bass boat. But cost of ownership, when you got a buddy splitting gas, when the two of you commit in and you're splitting hotels and you're splitting food, and the entry fees have gone down considerably and changed around. This is big, right? I mean, this is a big move that gives some guys an opportunity. More importantly, what it also does is it takes away the co-angler game that turned away a lot of boaters. So if you fancy yourself a guy with an endless amount of money and you want to go dance this and fish it by yourself by your bass boat, and you don't want to give up your juice, to any co-anglers out there, well, go put your money where your mouth is. There's going to be 5 different regions out there that you can compete in the BFL. Go get some. And, you're good enough and you get the stars aligned up, you find your way right into the big leagues with a chance at a $120,000 boat you can win.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty big. Now, it's not kayak. No, not at all. This is MLF. This is BFLs. But there's something to be said here when you've got an organization such as these guys, which is one of the big ones, that are starting to change things down here for the little guy. That's what it catches my interest behind the scenes the most on this, is that they're listening to the consumers that are out here, not just the upper end, right? Not just the big sponsor stuff. So I like the idea. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. It seems like a pretty easy format to understand. Doesn't seem overly too confusing to me. Be curious to see. I mean, we don't have a bass boat anymore, so we're not going on the road. Don't worry about that. That's not happening.
Unfortunately.
All right. So let's move it on here. Let's talk our not favorite topic, basketball. I still remember how many people tried to get you to play basketball growing up, and you fought that tooth and nail. You were like, no.
I did one practice. I learned how to do a pivot step, and it was while I had learned how to do a pivot step, and I watched everybody else around me not know how to do a pivot step at that point. I was like, I just don't. There's no contact here. This isn't fun. I was not interested.
That's what they wanted. They wanted that because you were tall. You were very big for a kid at your age there, and so they wanted you underneath the net, right? I mean, that's what they were looking for. What they wanted to turn you into a rebound monster.
They tried to get me for wrestling too, and I refused that. So
it was the outfit you didn't want to do in wrestling.
Correct. Also, there's just like, I'm just good. I don't want to go through cutting weight and all that other stuff. That's some hardcore stuff right there.
It is. So let's talk Nuggets, man. Denver Nuggets. Honestly, in full disclosure, neither one of us know a pile about these guys, but there was a big signing that came down. A 6-time All-Star just got picked up to add to, the core of the Nuggets is Joker and Murray. I mean, that's pretty much what people know. So now they're going to add DeRozan to the mix here. They're bringing in this guy. What's your opinion on this? Is there a real fit here, or is this just basically a 1-year rental swing that we're going to get this guy, get him in, get some points out of him, see if we can make a run for this season and go from there?
I think it's a lot of looking for a run this year for sure. I know Jokic and the front office have been butting heads, or at least reportedly butting heads, for the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months or so. They've been kind of not coming to agreement on some things. So
contract-wise,
and just kind of getting him some help. I mean, he's arguably one of the greatest that's in the league right now, in terms of just overall players. And a lot of people think that we should be just throwing the absolute kitchen sink, kind of like an LA Rams technique of where it's every year is our year and we need to be going for that mentality type thing. But in my opinion, that's hard to do as well when you win a championship and then fire your head coach that got you that championship as well. That's hard to do with replacements of that and so on. But
it sends a hell of a message, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
But it'll be a good pickup for DeRozan to come in here, especially after losing Peyton Wilson to the Cavaliers recently. That was a big pickup for Cleveland there. So should be interesting to see. And I mean, he's a vet at the end of the day. He's been in the league for a long time, so he can bring a vet presence that, maybe some of our younger guys or soon to be, pickups may not have. So it's shaping up for good possibilities. But yeah, I definitely don't think he's going to be a 30 to 40 point game guy.
Is this guy going to start? I mean, or is he like the closer? Does he bring in that from the bench? Does he bring in that scoring punch? What do you think?
I honestly don't know right now with the Nuggets roster currently and the way that it sits. But if I had to take a guess and just kind of seeing what the front office would do with Kroenke kind of at the helm of everything, I would imagine that he's going to probably be a 6th man off the bench, at the end of the day. But we'll see.
Well, and that's You always want to see Denver. The Nuggets have recently, come about where you get success and it starts to add some credence to your moves that are going on. But in the same breath, there's a lot of history there. And so you start wondering, like you said, when you see these moves that go down, like, you win a championship and fire your head coach. What? Huh?
I never understood that in the moment of when it happened. I know a lot of diehard Nugget fans really agreed with the firing, and they were happy it went down. But just being a sports fan and the knowledge that I have of it, you just that completely just cuts off the head of the beast at that point. If you just get rid of your head coach, unless it was the rare case of where it was the players. But I don't think you're going to see that too many times nowadays with today's current day and age of sports.
I was going to say, it's always a mix. It's always the union that creates something super special. It's never just the one guy.
Yep.
There's got to be something there between, coach, players, individuals. We try to, people try to, Tom Brady did it. He went to Tampa. Did you see what was surrounding Tom Brady down there?
Gonna say Tom Brady got a pretty good built team around him, and he also got to bring one of his best targets over with him as well.
And he flat out told people that no, there was an amazing team down there that needed to learn how to come together and play as a team. They had a great coach. They were missing one piece to the puzzle. Brady happened to be that piece, and Brady's impact goes beyond just throwing a football, right?
Absolutely.
What he brought to the culture. So yeah, it's and he's the first one to tell people that. But yeah, it's rare that it's ever just that simple of a deal. All right, dude. So yeah, so that's basically stuff going on with the Nuggets here. Let's talk Colorado Rockies. I know even less about baseball than I do about basketball, but what we do know is a couple things went on. Right now, let's look. It's the on-field basically reality check. Last year, a historic, I think maybe the worst record ever recorded in 2025 in baseball history. I don't know.
I believe it was.
43 wins against 119 losses. Holy shit. So right now, this way, midway, or part of the way through the season, they're 33 and 52. So standing to reason, sounds like a better season so far. Still, almost twice as many losses as wins. So I don't know if you can get excited about some of this, but try to find the diamond in the rough there. Is there real progress? Or is this at this point just noise and we got to sit back and wait? Do you have any thoughts on that kind of stuff with them? Or
I haven't been paying much attention to conversations or trades or anything much like that with the Rockies, but I have been seeing a lot of overall just there is some improvement there for sure. I mean, their young guys have started to take some big steps in terms of getting over some of their young humps and stuff like that, and getting through being able to kind of get through the slumps of what they ran into their rookie seasons, and even some of them 2-3 years into the league, they're kind of getting through that initially.
nice.
We've had a couple series against the Dodgers. I know that we probably should have never won on paper, and we ended up coming away with some pretty big wins in those games. I don't know if that had to do with personal stuff that was going on in media, because there was altercations between a couple of our guys and then the catcher for the Dodgers. So don't know if that had anything to do with it, but the Rockies showed up. And yeah,
I mean, if guys are feeling scrappy, I mean, I don't know as much about the culture of that sport, but I mean, there's it's a double-edged sword, right? You as a coach, you actually kind of like seeing guys willing to get pissed off and actually care.
absolutely. Yeah.
It shows some passion. You want them to exercise more professionalism, but at the same note, you can take some positives from that.
And I think the Rockies let it fuel them really well during those series for sure when they came across them. And in complete transparency, I don't even know if they ended up winning those series with the Dodgers. I know they won those games. There was about 2 games in specific that I'm thinking of that I know they won against them. But
Nice.
other than that, I mean, it's we'll be curious to see. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the new ownership or partial ownership of everything will end up playing a big key in kind of future success. And it at least gives us something to be excited about, because not for nothing, we were kind of in the same position with the Broncos up until, that same ownership group took over, and they've started to kind of bring some things together for us. Obviously, the ownership group isn't Sean Payton, but facilitates that for the team, at least to go get somebody, go whatever. At least we'll be able to hear out, the Rockies and, hey, what do you guys think you need to be better here? Or, what can we do to help out type in, and at least get that conversation rolling for them.
There's something big that when owners come in and create a culture or an expectation of excellence, not an expectation of give me your best, but at the professional level, it's a very different game. When we're talking about high school athletics and such, we're talking about go in there and give me your best effort. I want everything you got, whatever level that's at, give it to me, right? And if you do that, we can have something to be proud of and walk away from.
Right.
You get to the professional level, there's millions of dollars and people are paying $250 for a jersey. You got to produce, right? As player,
even at the college level now, I mean, you got families that are saving up years and, sometimes one full year, if not multiple years, to buy a ticket for one specific game. You can't go out there and just give it, all the best you can or whatever. Yep. You got to perform. You have to answer the bell.
There's no participation trophies in this bullshit. You got to go out there and put it on the ground. So when you get a good ownership team that comes in, and it's a big signal, right? 40% ownership of the Rockies are now with the Penner group that brought the Broncos up, that brought in ushered in a new culture, a new era for the Broncos. For many of us, it was, make the Broncos great again, right? Is to go back to some era of the Shanahan and Pat Bowlen era. We hadn't seen that in quite some time. But this is a good sign for the Rockies, I think. And when you look at they're making moves in the front office there, they're moving people around. They liked apparently what Warren Schaefer did. He was basically their intern manager for a while. Now they're going to retain him full time as the manager. So hopefully, and the expectations will be set. That's, I think, the biggest thing is here's what we expect. Go deliver that. And if you can't, we'll find somebody who can. Human beings, especially in competition and sports, just perform better when they know what the goal is and they're there to go get it.
Absolutely.
You think about it as an athlete. If a coach doesn't set clean expectations for you, it's very frustrating and you find yourself kind of roaming around out there not knowing. But when a coach can set, hey, this is all I need from you. You give me this and above, and that rocks. That's where you need to be. It energizes you, right? And so I think, yeah, this can't be a bad thing to have them in. Which, talking Broncos, let's get into it, man. This is the good juice here. So, couple topics. Let's talk about this first and foremost. So we had a great season opener preseason game. Then we had a pretty decent series against Green Bay, but then the rest of the game we just want to erase and forget about it because it seemed to be that the moment the starters got off the field, we turned into a JUCO team that didn't know how to even spell the name football. Yeah. It looked really rough out there. A lot of just disorganized. You and I have talked about this your whole life and for as long as I can remember it. How important are preseason games? At the end of the day, how much should a fan really look into this? Because obviously sports stuff, they're going to want to blow this up. Right?
They already are.
Right? They want to make this news, right? Somehow, however they can. They want to make this something that, oh, cripes, there's trouble in Denver, type thing. Yep. What are your feelings right now as you see what you see? Does it change anything?
It doesn't send any alarms to me at all, in all honesty. If anything, it kind of gives me a little bit of reassurance at the end of the day. I like seeing weaknesses in the team this early on, if anything, because at the end of the day, I think it was the first two drives of everything. I was really happy with what I saw. Offense, the first drive went out, handled business. We got to see Waddle. That's a great addition. Bo was a little underthrown on the ball there, but he's also openly said that he has to adjust his timing that he's used to with all the other guys because of how fast Waddle is. So that's a good problem to have at the end of the day. And we get that connection underway. We know Bo can throw deep. We've seen it with Marvin Mims time and time again where he throws, the moon balls that everybody loves to see. So at the end of the day with preseason games, for me personally, I think the first two quarters are like the most important. The third and fourth quarter, you see a lot of future insurance salesmen on the field there. And it's, if the guys make an amazing play, they, may get an extra shot at practice 1 week. If not, I think we all kind of know, the route that's going to go. First two quarters, though, I think that's where we see a lot of the big names or in our situation, like the Jonah Colemans, we got to see how he worked and stuff like that of, these rookies that we just picked up and how good are you actually on the field, instead of just practice alone. But,
it sets this, what I've always maintained is that the results of preseason don't matter. It's fun to get excited about a preseason win, but it really doesn't matter. What does matter in preseason is what you see during the game.
Absolutely. If you remember, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, we won all 4 preseason games as the Broncos. Yep. We came out and we threw up 50 some points on the Dallas Cowboys in the preseason. And we thought that was going to be the year, or at least a lot of the Bronco fans did. And then you come out and, oh yeah, our quarterback was not Bo Nix and we were not in a good position QB wise. Head coaching was a little skeptical at the time. Everything was just not where it needed to be overall for the Broncos at that point. And we quickly found that out during the regular season. And everybody was kind of like, oh, okay, hey, maybe this isn't the end all beat all for preseason games. Do you love seeing your team go out and put up points? Obviously, yes, it's a great thing. But I mean, not for nothing too. You look at the New England Patriots right now, for an example, they just absolutely are, for lack of better words, struggling through this preseason right now, trying to keep guys healthy and trying to even manage to play a full preseason game because they just don't have a deep roster. And Vrabel has now openly admitted that to the press of, we don't have a deep roster. So yeah, that's why I'm playing starters. I have to play them, unfortunately. And I can't keep them in for long, because obviously if they get injured, not going to be good. So it's a battle there. I'm, like I said, I've been happy to see of, what's come out of it so far. I think a big thing that a lot of people worried about too is seeing Bo again, and just after the way things ended, just wanting to see how he moved. A lot of skeptical comments and AI generated videos have been going out on Instagram and such since all off season of his leg and all this stuff. So glad to see he's kind of putting that to rest a little bit here.
Well, McVay was the guy that made it mainstream. Now, Sean McVay didn't start this, okay? I mean, this stuff's been going on for years. There's this battle. Do you start starters in preseason? Do you not? Do you give them reps? Do you risk, putting them out there, getting them hurt? I can tell you this. Even through high school, which is the highest level I've ever coached, if we had a scrimmage, our starting players are going to get on the field.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you can only do so much in practice. You can only do so much in that. So me personally, I've never been a fan of this sitting my starters, but I've never managed multi-billion-dollar, organizations. I've never, managed talent the likes of, Todd Gurley, Aaron Donald, those kind of guys. So I understand McVay's deal with this. But I'm glad Sean Payton doesn't do that. I'm glad he wanted to at least get him out there for, get our starters out there for a series, get them working, make sure that they're ready to gear up for, get on the field, go against other starters, play the game, win their one-on-one battles. This is the thing that I don't think people appreciate. And you appreciate this because you've seen how much time goes into this. The amount of film that you can get just in a preseason game on a series of 2 or 3, series, you get a chance to see zoom in on and watch the one-on-one battles that's taking place there. And you can see where your guys are at, really, really well. And it gives you an idea. It tells a coach, should you have confidence in this position or do you need more depth there? You don't ever want to get in a position where Vrabel's coming straight out going, yeah, my second string guys are, freaking lighting their loafers, man. They're getting knocked all over the damn field.
Yep.
They're not doing well.
Well, there's a big difference too. I mean, as you know, between running through practice reps and even having contact in practice versus when you get punched in the mouth, how are you going to respond? And I think, a lot of the approach of, hey, let's get punched in the mouth in preseason here, like we just did versus Green Bay, so that week 1, we can come out with the intention of, hey, we're hot and heavy. I think that's going to be a big start for the Broncos this year. Is you got to come out hot and heavy. We got to look. We can't come off to a rocky 2-2 start or even 3-2 or something like that. If we can come out here and get a 3, 4, 5-0 start, that's going to be the way they're going to need to look.
The scores reset on week 1, folks. It goes 0-0. It doesn't really matter what goes down on results. Did you see there was some little bit of scrimmage going on and a little bit of tension flared up between our starting O and starting D. I'll tell you what, as a fan, as a former coach, and as a just a human being, Bo Nix, his response to that has just won so much respect from old timers, new timers, rookies. When they asked him what was going on there between this and this, his response of, I loved it. I think it's great. I think it shows passion for all the way around.
Need it.
He's not talking a negative that, no, the guy, folks, if you've never played the game of football, you have no understanding just how violent that sport is. And like we were just talking, those one-on-one battles, man, when stuff goes on,
well, when
everybody's fighting
those,
for a chance, at a career, a lifetime here.
And you're having those one-on-one battles for now at the tail end of 2 weeks every single day in 90 to 100 degree weather out here. These guys are, they're tired. They're upset a little bit and tensions are going to flare, and not for nothing too with the Bo Nix side of things. we watched him, I think it was his rookie year, stare into Max Crosby's face and sit there and egg him on. So that is what he likes. That is his type of MO. And me personally, I love it. It fires me up. And Benito took it as well. Benito took it well as, good as well. And it was, I'm happy all around with it. Truly, no bad blood came from it. Sean Payton's response was good too.
Max Crosby's own words. No, this dude's a dog. Is what he said about Bo Nix. He goes, make no mistake, this dude's a dog. Max Crosby says that about you. I mean, that dude's near borderline psychotic. All right.
I was gonna say
that homie,
he's an animal.
He is absolutely an animal. And when you've got his respect as a quarterback,
that early on in your career too.
Yeah, that should tell you something.
Yeah, no, like I said, I loved seeing it. I think it fires everything up too. And if we can have that fire already lit going into week 1, I'm ecstatic for it. I'm going to be excited to see. I mean, I think a lot of Broncos country feels the same way, that we were one very unfortunate situation away from, being against the Seattle Seahawks there and going into a real battle that we could have walked away with. Who knows the way it would have panned out, but it would have been a battle. We know that. So yep. I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of hope on the horizon for us as well. And I mean, I think media now is starting to wake up a little bit too, which is a good and bad thing, I think.
You're seeing it on a lot of shows out there. They're talking like, they'll say, hey, we've been going around talking about all this stuff. Meanwhile, we're quietly missing one of the powerhouse, potential teams here that went to the AFC Championship year, and that's the Denver Broncos. They've got some stuff. They're doubling down. This is year 3 of the Peyton and Bo Nix era that we're going to see. How big of an impact? I love this move just because Peyton's not going to turn away total control. He's going to be involved in this. But Davis Webb calling the plays now as an offensive coordinator. He was in Nix's ear as the quarterback coach, was he not?
He was Nix's quarterback coach this entire time. And a big reason on why Sean is letting him kind of get the reins here a little bit is because if you remember last year, Davis Webb was actually a top candidate for head coaching positions all across the league. He was getting interviewed actively as the season concluded for us. They wanted to pick him up. I think, if I remember correctly, Baltimore was one of the main ones that wanted to go get him.
Yeah.
The big thing that this allows here is Davis gets to stay with. He is a key contributor to Bo's success right now in his development. And I think Sean feels that same way. He's come out and said that now of, yes, this is why we've kept Davis here. If stuff hits the fan and, it doesn't go good, Sean already said that he's going to be real close to take, back control of everything. But
right.
I'm excited for it. I think it's going to open up some deeper explosion. I think Davis probably has a better understanding, at least, of Bo's explosion ability and deep play there. So I think we'll see a little bit more there. I'm curious to see kind of what the mobility game looks like a little bit. Bo's big threat last year was being able to get out of the pocket and still deliver. We'll be curious to see if they still want to roll him out as much, given what kind of happened last year.
Right. Well, and you got to think Webb had to be grinning ear to ear with the Waddle maneuver. I mean,
absolutely.
People gave up on Waddle down there in Miami. They just wanted to close the book on him. Tyreek Hill was the big name for the longest time. And then when Hill leaves, they've got people forgot about something, which is the fact that there was just quarterback turmoil. What does a wide receiver need? He needs a steady quarterback, man, to get the ball to him. If Waddle doesn't have that connection, the one thing I've been seeing is that Nix and Waddle seem to be connecting in, and, you got to consider even Waddle becomes even, I think, more senior in experience than even Sutton is to a degree. So I think the combination of those two guys, total different types of receivers. And then you got the Mims in there, and you got, Franklin as a possibility, for the receiving threat. To me, it adds a whole pile of good pressure. And as they start to gel, this I think could be huge through this.
Absolutely. I mean, you have down in Miami, Waddle had another speedster to contest with in terms of his own wide receiver room there. There was only one other guy that opposing DBs really had to kind of worry about. Obviously, I don't want to downplay any of the other, Miami wide receivers there at that time, but production wise, it was only Waddle and Hill, kind of the main targets there. So you get him now with a jump ball guy like Cortland Sutton, who's going to obviously, Cortland Sutton has an island on him at all times. He's going to draw that attention to him. And, you now add somebody who we can throw across the middle on you. We can throw him even on the opposite side. And then you have Troy Franklin, who's very speedy and quick, and Marvin Mims, who's starting to come out here a little bit more and show himself to, I mean, he had some really big plays for us last year with the big catch in Cincinnati to win that game. And, just real big moments. I'm excited to see our wide receiver room is, I think, a little bit more slept on than people probably realize, but that's okay. And I think these guys kind of thrive with that. It's okay to have all the attention being on just two there, just because we still have two more that can eat them up, and even our top two will still get it done.
Dude, and you grew up in a defensive mindset, right? I mean, that was all I lived and breathed was a defensive mindset. And how important is it when you're scheming against an offense and you got two receivers to deal with? It's one thing to say we got a receiver threat and then we got a running back, that we got to watch out for. When you got two receiver setups, I'm telling you, folks, the complexity of what it takes to scheme against that
changes it entirely.
It's beyond just something simple as, well, it's just another guy. No, you don't understand the way route packages work and the way that tree runs. If I've got two guys that can literally, not only are they catch threats, but they're yards after carry threats, man. And that's a big deal when you're trying to defend against that. This segs us in, man. This takes us right into what you and I have been extremely excited about is the potential. Let's hope Peyton figures this out and he really exploits this. Our backfield. I got to be straightforward and honest. Dobbins is what Dobbins is, okay? And I'm not sold that this guy isn't Glass Joe. I'm not sold that 2-3 hits and after a 15 carry game, a 16 carry game, that he doesn't sit it out for joint problems. But it's the other guys in the backfield that I'm so freaking excited about, man. There's two other running backs that are coming down the pipe here that, quite frankly, I think are really hungry and they want to knock Dobbins out of that starting position. They want to get recognized, and they have a give me the rock mentality that you don't see a lot in today's NFL. Talk to me about these two guys back there. One's returning from last year and the new kid here.
RJ Harvey, I mean, you heard me all last year when we used to watch the games at the house. I'm huge on that guy. I if I could buy stock on him, I'd be poor right now with everything into him. He's one of my favorites, truly. Like I said, I've watched him in college a lot. I'm a huge CU fan and watched him unfortunately destroy and just run through CU when it was CU versus UCF. And that was kind of my first taste of it. And then for him to be able to come in and do that for Denver, watching him bounce these, grown linebackers who are vets in the league and all pro guys just bounce off of him and him still being able to fight through yards. If we can see that again this year, I think that's going to be the big key to see if his sophomore season can at least maintain the same trajectory. Obviously, it would be great if he can continue to go upward, but as long as he doesn't revert, I think that would be kind of the only thing. It would, be a little bit, not the best case with it all. Jonah Coleman, Sean Payton, I think, feels the same way that we do about him. He's a dog, and I think we're gonna see this guy really start to flourish a little bit as long as we can get him and everybody the ability there. If obviously we have a 3-back set up right now, in all honesty, with 3 eligible guys that could go out there and get this job done. I think Coleman has some proving to do. We don't know if he could be that number 1 guy quite yet, but in terms of is he going to make the roster, I think we all know, and Sean hasn't even made up. He's making the roster. We know that. I mean, he played, I think, a drive and a half the other night, and then Sean said that he didn't need to see more of what he's been seeing for 3 weeks. Yeah. We wanted to get him off the field and keep him safe. So
that tells you something when you got a rookie that's being protected around that. Yeah. This could be that guy, that Peyton's been looking for in those special sets where he wants to mix things up. He becomes that it factor that you get the ball to him in the flats or you get it in the backfield, and Dog, every time this dude touches the ball, he could be taking this thing to the house. He's that kind of back, I think, even as a rookie.
I've seen the comparisons already. Obviously, it's way too early to tell, but I mean, there's been a lot of people who just off of going back and watching his Washington film alone of when he was playing there that, if he carries it in the NFL, Sean may have found his Alvin Kamara for Denver here. That
Right.
that truly is what a lot of people are saying of just,
Except
just
a
the way
little
he
bit
plays.
beefier.
Oh, a lot. Kamara would put his head down a little bit, but I think Coleman is going to be a lot more willing to just absolutely run over whoever he needs to and kind of get in the open space.
I was going to say, I want you to take these stats into effect. 5'8", 5'8" at 225 pounds, and I'll bet you almost non-measurable fat on this man's body. He is a brick running at you at a pretty good clip, and he has bad intentions. The thing that I like about the film that I've seen on him and Harvey to this degree, they want to punish tacklers.
Yeah.
And that is a key that I don't think Dobbins has anymore. I think Dobbins has got skill, and I think he moves. I think he has great vision. And if he's healthy, I think he's got slippery hips and he can make things happen. But I like the style of Harvey and Coleman and the fact that they want to punish you to try to tackle them. They have those type of intentions, and almost every time you hit one of these guys and take them down, they end up with their helmet facing the end zone.
Yep.
Those two key fundamental things to me is, I think, what game changers are.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with both of them, Coleman especially. I mean, he had his little documentary from the draft process there, but he's been an underdog his entire career, even coming from high school and into college and now into the NFL. He has been definition underdog, and that, unfortunately for other teams, is a huge factor to him. He was even a little upset with Denver that we didn't pick him up as early as we did. He said that, but now that he is a part of it, like he said, he's beyond blessed to be here, and he's ready to punish 31 other teams for not taking that opportunity on him. Which, hearing that from a rookie running back there, that's exciting to hear. And I mean, regarding him being 5'8" and 225, low man wins in football. So if you're 5'8" and that size, it's real tough for your 6'2" cornerbacks or strong safeties coming downhill. You're going to need to get real low on this guy because he's going to be on the ground.
And you better be ready and okay with getting bruises, man, when you touch this dude, because he's coming at you. He sees you come. If he's got you in his vision, he's going to lower a shoulder into you every time.
Yep.
And he's going to test your minerals and see if you can. I mean, that's just not something you see a lot in today's age of football. There's, it's a different era that we've ushered in. And so it's good to see these guys that are willing to play the game, in my opinion, the way it was meant to be played, which is, hey man, I got ultimate respect for you, but yeah, dog, I'm here to make your life miserable for the next 4 quarters.
Yep.
And at the end of it, we can go get a beer and we can talk and we're cool. But between now and then, it's going to just be that. And that's the way I play the game.
Yeah, I mean, you want the type of running backs out there that, they'll be okay with you tackling them in the first and second quarter, sure. But by the time the third and fourth quarter rolls around, you're not going to want to or be able to tackle them anymore physically. And that's the type of stuff that I guarantee you Sean Payton's loving every minute of. And even our guys got to be loving it as well. And not for nothing, too, coming from kind of going back a little bit, we have an amazing O-line this year, one of the top O-lines. We have 2 of the top 10 offensive linemen in the entire league right now, of Garrett Bowles and Quinn Myers. Apologies. But that alone with the run game is going to be just, signed textbook. That couldn't get any better there. And then now with the recent addition, we've recently gone out and picked up Bill's safety, Taylor. I believe it was Taylor Rapp.
I saw that. That's exciting. That's a fill-in guy, man.
I'm curious to see how it's going to be worked in with him and Brandon Jones and Hufanga and kind of the package setups that they get there. But at the end of the day, he is a certified ball. I mean, we know he can ball. We've seen it time and time again. Unfortunately, he used to be punishing us for many years. So now that he's kind of on our side, I'm very thankful to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and this just more weapons in the tank. The coaching staff has to be excited. We didn't make any big moves, right? But what we did was, I think, take success from last year and let's fill in some blanks. Let's build it, and we're still not done. You know, this will be going through the season.
I was gonna say
Let's
there's a lot of cap space left over here that hasn't been touched
yes,
or talked about yet, and I've been waiting patiently all off season here, thinking that there was going to be one more big move before the season started. I'm now at the point where I think we're going to get through the season or get into the season here a little bit, and I think they're going to kind of assess a little bit throughout the trade up till the trade deadline and see, do we need to go grab somebody or do we need to go pick up somebody big here to round everything out, or can we be good? And I not for nothing, I think something that they're just trying to see is future injuries. If we can take that
depth, right?
exactly,
What
if we
kind of
can take
depth
this
do we
roster,
have?
yeah, if we can take this roster in, I think we'll be good, and I think everybody will be happy with the current conditions. Maybe getting like one or two more pieces if needs be, but if big injuries go down, yeah, we're going to need to go answer the bell to be able to at least salvage. We don't want to be in the situation where we were 3-4 years ago of
Right.
somebody goes down and you have negative money to work with. You can't go get anybody, no matter what you do. You can't go get anyone. And we don't want
The ghost of Wilson has left the building.
Yes. And I think all of the general management as well is not, they remember that. And I think that they're not wanting to get back there. So they're probably been a little bit more frugal with it.
The ride is over. Hey, Denver, let's ride to the bank. Scumbag. Yeah, man. Well, listen, that's awesome stuff. I'm super stoked. It's fun to be a fan again. It's fun to sit back. You and I talk about this a lot. I know you're looking into the possibility of busting into some coaching, which is awesome. I think about it every year myself. This time of season rolls around and it starts to get back to me. It's 20 years of basically some of the greatest time of my life, some of the greatest memories. It was, I mean, not for nothing, it was one of the things that you and I always had. As kids growing up, dad's doing stuff, we always had that to fall back on, which was hugely important, much to the chagrin of the girls in the family. There was some times that they did not appreciate it. I think your sister still to this date doesn't want to hear the word football
Or see a whiteboard.
yeah, or see a whiteboard, right? But which is a shame, total shame. Tell me, I want to say one thing here, and then we'll roll this thing out because we're closing in on the hour. But there's something we talk about, and I just want to hear from your perspective on this. And this maybe is a segue for future shows. I've said this time and time again. One of the major things that is lacking in a couple generations that are roaming around out there is a respect or understanding of a team environment, of knowing how to accept the fact that no, Cupcake, you're not special. But if you contribute what you have with a group of other people, together you can be something really damn special. Now, we've always said, of course, you're special to the people that love you, knucklehead, but not to the rest of the world. And you shouldn't expect that, that you're this or that. Learning how to operate, because this entire world operates, whether it's military or government or jobs or wherever, it's not the individual, man. It's not celebrated as the person themselves. Learning how to be a good teammate, it just seems to me is a lost skill. People don't understand it, be it their social skills or be it the lack of acceptance of how to be happy for somebody else when they succeed. Your time, you've been involved in team sports your entire life. And here you stand basically in your early 20s now, you're moving forward. The world is your lobster at this point. How important do you think when shit hits the fan, how much do you draw back on that experience from your childhood? How big is it? And then dealing with others in your era and in your generation, what's it been like, for you to see those folks?
I draw back to it 100% of the time, even before, shit hits the fan. It's a lot of the time, even in the working environment, especially, is where I kind of notice it a lot. The ability to understand that, like, hey, somebody needs help and you if you helping that person will overall help me in return, because us both working at a better efficiency will help everything out type thing. A lot of people don't really understand that and just kind of, want to be all for them type thing, which I think we could be here all night long talking about the reasons that led up to that for, all of everything. But
Right.
regarding, it's huge. It really is huge. And I even make jokes with it around the house here, with people, but you can clearly tell from playing team sports my whole life. I can clearly spot out after talking with somebody for 5-10 minutes if they've ever played a minute of a team sport and how invested they were into it, just based off of the way they interact. Or if, I mean, it could be as simple as, the willingness to help out, or just certain things that people say. It truly does stand out to a lot of the effect. And there's pros and cons to a lot of it, but I think there's a lot more pros to being involved in the team sports than everything else at the end of the day too. I mean, the camaraderie, not for nothing. I mean, I don't talk to many other guys anymore just because life has taken us in different directions, but I'm very confident.
But you could.
I'm confident that if I needed to,
notice.
exactly, I can reach out and I would get a response, and they would see how I'm doing, vice versa. And that's still to this day between college hockey and high school football. Both of those, I know I could hit those guys up, and they'd still, if I needed anything, they're there for me type thing.
Yeah. Dude, it's you go out in your blood, sweat, and tears right on the field or in the ice rink or wherever. You go at a common goal together, and you're both near puking in trash cans, and you pay a price together. There's something to be said for that. It's a lot at the heart of what builds that brotherhood, what builds that camaraderie across. One of the things that I always said that I hated is when football started coming under attack for the physicality issues with it. And they started, of course, leave it as most things in society. They went to the extreme, where people, how many people were saying football's going to be gone as a sport? Nobody's going to want to get involved in it because of the concussion. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. When you really boil down and get into the stuff, you will see. Get an American car. He's got a Chevrolet, Brick. You Ford purple oval driving. I'm sorry, Brick just threw this out here. Derailed me there. Leave it. When you see this, there was this big push for people to, leave this and go start doing these non-contact sports, the cross country, track and field. And I remember thinking to myself way back then, like 10, 15 years ago, I remember thinking to myself, oh, that sucks. These are all individual sports, man. It was the only time where I'm like, look, if you've gotta, at least go play soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, soccer was, I'll full disclosure here. I don't understand the sport. I don't understand the excitement, but I appreciate the excitement that the rest of the world has for it. I'll give you that. But it was always the brunt. It was always like the punchline in many of my football jokes, when I was talking to kids. And it was just the fact, but I will say this, it's a team sport that requires individual contribution to team to make it work. So at the very least, I was hoping at least go play that, for the love of God. And when I hear people like, well, that one's got concussions too, I'm like, oh my God, if you're honestly going to be worried about getting injured, the physicality piece of the game of soccer at a high school or collegiate level, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can't. We're just not built the same, because I want you to take 10 snaps in a game of football, and I'll put you anywhere on that field, and then you tell me if an entire season of your sport can even come close to the bruises you're going to come out of here with.
No, it's absolutely. I mean, even touching on the whole camaraderie side of everything too. You had guys that you probably didn't like, and they didn't like you too much at the very beginning of the season. And then by the time everything wraps up, you guys had a general understanding, at least a respect for one another, that, hey, we don't like each other, but I respect you at least because we've gone through these, trials and tribulations now at this point, and we're here to go to war at the end of the day. We're here to battle every single Friday night and see what the results are.
We got off that field or off the rink and sat on a player's bench, with something wrapped in ice and looking across at each other going, well, that was a hell of a ride, wasn't it? I mean, there's something to be said for that. And if you've never done it, I know it might be hard to understand, but there's something real that builds with that. And so the team aspect, big stuff. Listen, dude, thank you so much for cutting out some time on a Sunday here. I'm looking forward to us digging into some other stuff because I'll make the announcement here. One of the awesome things that I am so freaking proud of and super stoked about is, dude, you've been coming along and volunteering and helping with the True Patriot Outfitters. You have become now a member of the TPO team. Getting in the kayak game, got your own rig now, and we're getting you outfitted where we need to. And that's exciting, man. This is so cool to see you getting back because you've always had an affinity to fishing. You've always been locked in on that, the outdoors. You grew up outdoors. I mean, from your youngest years, we were at the lake somewhere, even before I knew what the hell I was doing. And you were out there fishing, the whole time with it. And then when we started getting into things, I mean, you've been there from the beginning. It wasn't until girls came along that you got out of fishing, dude. I mean, honestly, that's probably the thing that
Probably is.
Now you got a girl that says, go fishing. Get the hell out.
I was going to say, now it's a win-win situation.
So I'm looking forward, dude, to the future. You working more. I know several of the guys that have had a chance to meet you and see you've been to the PBKS events. You've been out here on our Field Op Tier 1 events. You make life easy out there as a volunteer and as somebody that kicks in to help make these special events for these guys. And I know the feedback from some of the vets and such that have been out there, they're pretty damn impressed with you. They like the time they get a chance to spend with you. You got guys like Brick that are trying to, get you to buy beer with them. And, Brick found his little brother, I think, is what he found. So he's going to he's a bad influence. That's all I'm going to tell you. I love him, but he's a bad influence.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, you never listened to me when you was growing up, so why listen now?
We'll find out through experience as always.
I'm giving the old man time enough to peck out a response on his YouTube here, but we'll see if he does. Well, listen, dude, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, close this thing out. Next week is going to be a recorded episode if we have one, folks. I'm going to be traveling. I've got a family situation I need to go deal with, and I'm going to be traveling up to Minnesota for a weekend, and then I'll be coming back. So I will be out of pocket. So it'll either be a recorded episode that we put Brick, my fingers are slow. I'm not even going there, Brick. I ain't going to do that. Oh, slow fingers. No, so I'll be out of pocket. So if we don't get a episode formatted and produced properly to go for next Sunday, we'll just skip next Sunday. I'll drop a video and let you folks know as we get closer to this. We're almost out of the crazy season, folks, and then we'll be back on a regular every Sunday episode. We'll be firing it up. And who knows, man, we might just start throwing in weekly a little sports section, especially if there's big news, dude. Appreciate you coming in and giving your commentary. You always hit me up with some like insider stuff. So when you get that stuff, come share it with us. I know that I have a lot of brothers and folks that watch this that are out in that Kansas City area. Well, sucks to suck. You're going to hear Colorado sports here. That's just, if you think I could ever put Patrick Mahomes' information on this broadcast, you out your picking mind. Out your picking mind. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. But yeah, man, we'll have some Colorado sports going on here. We'll chime into it. And of course, more fishing stuff. We'll have more fishing news coming up. We got some big events, dude. You and I, we got the PBKS coming up, final event. You'll be coming with us to Ute. Can't wait to introduce you to that New Mexico crew. Absolutely. They are an awesome bunch of human beings down there. You're going to love these guys. And then, of course, folks, if you haven't got registered up and you're in the kayak game out there, where's the camera? I forgot where I put it. Shut up. I'm old. The Big Bass 250 Eco Fishing Shop. This is one of, if you look at each calendar year and you look in the kayak fishing game, if you're looking at premier events that take place across this country, this is one of them. All-American Kayak Classic, one of them. Bassmaster National Championship, that's one of them. Eco Fishing Shop, Big Bass 250, that goes on at Lake of the Ozarks in late October is one of these premier events. Capped at 250 anglers. Each year they keep growing in size. I bet you this year we cap 200. It's a good chance. I'm excited to say you and I are both registered up. We've got another member. We've got basically, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 members of TPO. We're heading down there, including myself. That makes 5. We're heading to Lake of the Ozarks. We got an Airbnb that we're lined up on. We're going to have us a time down there. We're going to get down there Wednesday. We'll have Thursday, Friday to pre-fish this thing, play around down in Ozark country. Can't wait to share this. A lot of these guys, 3 of the guys going down there, they've never been to Ozark country, so this is going to be super cool to take in the scenery. From Andy's Custard down there, dog, we got to at least hit that up. Bandana's Barbecue. Anybody who's in that neck of the woods knows what I'm talking about. And I know we could probably get some comments on some good other places down there. Plus, there is a restaurant we're going to hit. I'm not going to talk about the name of it, but we're going to go hit it about the halfway mark of Lake of the Ozarks. Just look around there, and you'll find the place that we're definitely going to check out. But, yeah, it's going to be a good time. Travis, Jonathan, the owners of Eco, they put on one hell of a show. Can't wait to get down there. We're going to have fun.
Super excited.
Heck, yeah. All right, dude. Peace, love, and hair grease. You take off. You have yourself a good night. Folks, you've heard me say this a bajillion times in the past 6 years. Appreciate you for everything you do for us to keep us on the air and keep things moving here. Heroes Media Group, all the family out there. You guys, thank you so very much. If you find it in your heart, share the broadcast on whatever channel you're watching it on. Let people know about us. More people we reach, more brothers and sisters we have a chance to get out there. And you just never know what the show's going to be like. We're going to mess around. We'll do some of this, some of that, and we'll keep the stuff going. And we do this only because of you guys. So, as usual, Ryan, hang out after we throw this out of here. After I roll out, I'll catch you on backstage there. Folks, you know the routine. Tight lines, be safe, take care of each other,